yourself in the open air. There was no toilet paper. Instead, the Romans used a xylospongium. It was a sea sponge attached to a wooden stick. You would wipe yourself, rinse it in a shallow gutter, and leave it in a bucket of vinegar for the next person. You shared a porous, wet sponge with a room full of strangers. It was a perfect delivery system for disease. Paleoparasitologists have tested the soil from Roman latrines. Despite their flowing water, the Romans were riddled with parasites. The shared sponges actually spread worms faster than if they had squatted in the woods. And the Roman sewers were terrifying places. They did not have gas traps like modern plumbing. The waste decomposing in the dark tunnels below produced huge amounts of highly flammable methane gas. Occasionally, a spark would ignite the gas, causing the latrine to literally explode. Fire would shoot up through the marble holes while people were sitting on them. Rats would crawl up from the darkness and bite people from below. The Romans believed the sewers were inhabited by actual demons. When the Roman Empire collapsed, Europe entered the Middle Ages, and things got much worse. If you lived in a medieval castle, you used a garderobe. It was a tiny stone room projecting out from the castle wall high over the moat. You sat on a wooden plank, and your waist dropped 30 feet straight down into the water below. The moat was not just a defensive barrier. It was a stagnant ring of raw sewage that surrounded the castle in an impenetrable wall of stench. If you lived in a crowded medieval city, you had a chamber pot. It was just a clay bowl kept under your bed. In the morning, you threw the contents out the window and directly into the street. The streets of European cities became actual rivers of mud, rotting food, and human excrement. The smell was so thick you could taste it. People had to wear elevated wooden platform shoes just to keep their clothes out of the muck. Cities relied on cesspits, giant underground brick chambers where human waste collected for months. When a cesspit filled up, a specialized crew called night soil men had to be hired. They worked strictly in the dead of night, hauling tons of raw human sludge out by hand to be sold to farmers. Men routinely suffocated from the toxic gases trapped inside. Because all this waste seeped into the ground, it regularly contaminated the shallow drinking wells. For hundreds of years, entire populations suffered from chronic poisoning. This era of profound ignorance culminated in the catastrophic outbreaks of cholera in the 1800s. In London, the Thames River became so choked with human waste that during the unusually hot summer of 1858, the stench shut down the British government. They called it the Great Stink. The curtains of Parliament had to be soaked in chloride of lime just so the politicians could breathe without gagging. It took the agonizing deaths of tens of thousands of people before modern society finally woke up and realized what our deep ancestors on the savannah already knew. You cannot live next to your own waste. We spent massive amounts of wealth to build the modern sewage systems hidden beneath our streets today. We engineered water treatment plants, U-bends to trap methane gas, and porcelain bowls that wash the danger away with the push of a button. You are the beneficiary of millions of years of trial, error, and fatal mistakes. Your body still produces the exact same biological hazard it did 300,000 years ago. The only difference is the vast, hidden machinery protecting you from it. You flush the toilet and wash your hands. You do not think about the predators waiting in the grass, the tapeworms breeding in the mud, or the exploding methane beneath the marble benches. You just turn off the light and walk away. That's all for today. Anyway, please donate or subscribe to fund the next video.